What is going on, everybody? So today we're going to be talking about something that a lot of you guys have been asking me. What would be the first build you guys would make once you reach level 40? Like, what's your go-to build? What is the first build to allow you to start farming from hard to challenging to heroic and then continue to move up the chain, right? So in this video, guys, I'll be showing you guys exactly the build that I used, and we're currently on my hardcore character. So that is a great way for me to really show you what I've used to slowly move from hard difficulty to challenging, and then I'm slowly working my way up to heroic. But first, I'm gonna try to keep perfecting the build until challenging is a lot easier. So the first tip I will tell you guys, when you guys are farming for gear sets, make sure your global difficulty is on the difficulty that you can farm. Ideally, farming hard will probably be better. Then work your way up to challenging, and then if you get so easy and you think you can handle heroic, well, then you can go there. Ideally, I'm still on challenging on my hardcore character, and if you guys know, you don't share anything from your main character, so that's the one thing. So definitely start with hard. As you get certain pieces, work your way up to challenging. As you keep upgrading those pieces, then once you have a really good farming build, start with heroic. Now, I'll tell you the first two skills I would recommend getting for most of all your builds are going to be the Reviver Hive, which you guys will see here. That's the one I recommend running with. I always run with this, especially on hardcore, but generally, I think if I'm solo, probably a good bet. And then you can run with anything else. I personally like the Crusader Shield because it allows you to keep your armor buff. And with the builds I'm going to show you that I recommend you guys playing with at the very beginning, Crusader Shield is going to be what I recommend you guys running with. So those are going to be the two skills that you guys should get. Now, the third thing you guys should do is the specialization. And that is, for me, always go with the Gunner class right off the bat. And the reason why is, first off, all the classes allow you to spec in. So the first thing you guys want to spec in is the damage. But the good thing about the Gunner class is it can give you up to 10% armor on kill. Now, that would be the second thing I would spec into. First would be the damage, the 15% weapon damage max you guys can get on the SMG extra, right? Then I would worry about maxing out the killing, the armor on kill, that 10%, because you guys know it's very hard to heal yourself in this game, but getting armor on kill is an easy way to do that. Also, I would keep leveling up the passive talent. Every third reload is 50% faster. And then you could do the armor kits, because when you pop those armor kits, you get 30% bonus armor on top of the 100% armor you get for those 10 seconds. And then you can just kind of go through everything else from barrage, which is actually really good. Rate of fire increases by 5% on a kill for 5 seconds. So a lot of really good bonuses you get. And I always recommend the Gunner class, specking that one out first. That's the one I usually go with. And you guys can see I'm working on getting this one maxed out, but I have the ones that I need. So this is what I would recommend you guys picking up if you guys haven't already. It's a really good. It also has the Banshee Pulse. So that would be my third tip. So number one, we already talked about it, the difficulty, work your way up. Number two, the skills that I use. Number three is going to be this Banshee class. And number four is going to be the build that I'm going to show you guys right now, right? So the build I'm going to be showing you guys is going to be a Hunter Furies build. And I really feel like this build right here is the great beginner starter build that turned into one of the easiest farming builds in the game. And it's because of the way it works, right? Because the 2-piece gives you 15% shotgun or SMG damage. The 3-piece gives you 20% armor on kill. Now you pair that up with the Gunner class, that's 30%. And then Apex Predator is just a beast of a talent. So ideally, this is going to be a really good starter build that turns into like probably one of the easiest builds to farm heroic control points. Now, you guys can see I got some pretty decent rolls. I started off on hard, and then I worked my way up to challenging, and then these are some of the rolls I started to get. But I do still have some pieces that are kind of horrible. Like this one right here, look how horrible it was. It was horrible. I personally started off rolling, maxing out my armor. So you probably won't be able to do this unless you have an extra character. But I was able to slowly max this out. So I think I started at like 140,000 armor, and then I maxed it out to 170. Same thing with this, 140,000 armor. A good tip I would tell you guys is a lot of times at the vendors, they sell some really high armor rolls, like usually like 140, 150. Sometimes you even get some god rolls, and you can put those into your library. If this is a brand new character and you've never been to level 40, this would be a perfect step. So look for those really high rolls that you can add to your library. And that's going to be tip number 5, but we'll talk about it in a second. So number 4, we're still here. This is the build I'm telling you guys. 4-piece, I'd recommend these 4 pieces: the mask, the holster, the knee pads, and then the gloves. And then for the chest and the backpack, you either want to run with something like the Sokolov, that's going to give you some SMG damage. And for the talent, you can either run Bloodsucker, which is killing an enemy, refreshes stacks of 10% bonus armor for 10 seconds. Now you can stack this up to 10 times. Or you can run a talent like Adrenaline Rush. Whenever you're within 10 meters of an enemy, you gain 20% bonus armor for 5 seconds. Now this stacks up to 3 times, so that could be 60%. So either one of these is actually really good. I personally like both of them, but right now the Sokolov piece I needed to roll critical hit damage, so I maxed out my critical hit damage, and then I went with Bloodsucker. But ideally, if I could get one with Adrenaline Rush, I'd love to have both. And then for the chest, since I'm on hardcore, I'm going to be running Unbreakable, but ideally I'll tell you guys to run something like Intimidate. I don't have one on this character because this character is my hardcore character. So ideally Unbreakable is what I'm going to be running on this build. But if you guys are just running hard, challenging on normal, on level 40, then run something like that's going to give you damage. Like Intimidate is going to be great. So that's just my tip for you guys. And obviously, try to max out your crit chance as much as possible. If you go over here, we'll check out ours. We're at 47%, which is going to be a little bit tough for you guys at the very beginning because your Shade Watch isn't going to be leveled. It's probably going to be like this, right? So you're not going to gain that extra 20% crit damage from maxing out your watch or the 10% crit chance. So that's something you guys just have to like learn to work with. But you still can get max crit chance. Like the rolls on these are horrible. Look at the status effects, skill damage, status effects, explosive resistance. So I have a lot of pieces that I haven't rolled crit chance, crit damage on. So ideally you're going to want to put armor or weapon damage on the rolls, and then for the attributes, crit damage or crit chance. Now, like I said, the Grudge, this is the SMG I'm using. I haven't found one that has better rolls, but the good thing about this weapon is it had SMG damage, it had crit chance, and then I rolled damage to targets out of cover, and it came with perfect vindictive. Now, I bought this from the level 40 clan vendor, so I went over here to the clan vendor, and it was actually for sale. So definitely check out the vendors. The vendors reset every week, right? So they will be set, they reset on Tuesdays. So Tuesdays in the morning or in the afternoon when you get on, check all the vendors. Sometimes I put out videos for those, and I just bought it right here. This is the one that's for sale this week. So I just picked it up, and that's what I've been running with. But ideally, if you can find a better SMG that has a little bit better talent, maybe a little bit more damage, you can actually run with that instead. But I actually like the talents on this one. It wasn't too bad. And since I'm not maxed out on crit chance or crit damage, I figured this was actually good because look, when I do get a kill, 18% crit chance, 18% crit damage for 20 seconds. So that really puts me over that cap of 60%. So that's the one reason why I recommend using that. And you guys see I'm running the Crusader Shield, the Reviver Hive, and ideally this is what I would recommend you guys going with. Obviously keep farming, go to targeted loot this week. So since I would be looking for, I always look for, when I'm farming for targeted loot, I always look for control points or these activities, because the control points drop a ton of gear versus the mission. I feel like they just don't have good drop rates versus the control points, because you also can open up the stash. There's a lot of bosses, so depending on the difficulty you're playing on, there's just a ton of activities you can do. So anytime I see something like this that says Hunter's Fury, that's what I do. I go farm that. And then since I'm also looking for Sokolov, I look for that. Backpacks, same thing. Cheska, if you're looking for that, if you're looking. So since we are sticking with Hunter's Fury, when you see it like this, is gonna be a perfect time for you to farm, upgrade those pieces. Now that I'm farming on challenging, I'm gonna try to refarm all these Hunter Fury pieces, like this one that has status effect. Try to get a red roll down there so I can roll armor on it again. And then I do think having about 1.3 million armor is probably going to be the best bet for you, but right now I just don't have that with this character, and I can kind of get away with it because I am running Unbreakable. But like I said, you guys want to go for that Intimidate role. So since you guys are looking for the Sokolov, right here is going to be your place, or you can even do one Sokolov, one Grupo Sombra. That's really up to you. So you'd have to farm the DZ. So that is tip number 4. And tip number 5 is check the vendors. Look for those rolls, especially if you just got to level 40, and then make sure you can buy some of those rolls and then you put them into your library. So you just head over to your library. Say if you got a good glove roll, core attributes, you put it there, or if you got any attributes, do it there. So a lot of times if you can't farm those high rolls because you're just not high enough, just head to each vendor. Each vendor, like, look, there's a max out damage to armor roll on the SMGs right here. And a lot of times there's different rolls that are pretty decent that you can use for your library. And that'll be an easy way for you to use those same rolls for your gear pieces. So hopefully that helped you guys out. Hopefully for all of you newer players that are looking to get into the Division 2 at level 40 and it's your first time coming, this video helped you out. This is probably my go-to build. Running something like this, a 4-piece Hunter's Fury with a 2-piece Sokolov would probably be the best way I would run it. And then obviously for the talent, you want to run like Intimidate, and then for the backpack, Adrenaline Rush or Bloodsucker. And this typically would be my build. So this is just a good starter build, and that build will definitely get you guys really moving in the right direction. I'll see you guys in the next video, but until then, hey, nothing but skills out.